Hi there, and this is Ruben from Dutch Round 1. Thanks again for coming by. Thanks for watching another episode. As always, I appreciate your time and I appreciate your support. Today, we will take a look at 20 false friends between the English and the Dutch language. But before we do that, remember to give it a like if you like this content, subscribe to the channel if you want more, and let me know in the comments if this is useful for you or not. But without much further ado, let's go straight for our false friends. Now, what are false friends? Well, false friends are basically words in English and Dutch, since we have the same linguistic family, Germanic languages, which are written more or less the same and which people think they can translate in the same way also, although they are different, right? So the first one is Dapper. Dapper in Dutch actually means courageous, brave. However, Dapper in English means if you're dressed to the nines, if you're well groomed, if you look good for a night out. So that's the first one. Be careful of that one. Then we have the next one, and the next one is braaf, which is basically, we say that most of the time for children when they're well behaved, when they're listening to their parents, when they're listening to their teachers, and so on. And then you have the English brave, which is more courageous. So braaf is more well behaved, brave will be courageous. All right, so again, another false friend to look out for. We go to the next one, and the next one is raar and rare. Again, the way it's written is pretty much the same. However, raar in Dutch means weird or bizarre. And rare in English is something which is seldom, which you don't come across a lot with, something which is not usual. And also for your meats, if you want it cooked rare, you can have it cooked rare, medium, and and well done. All right, so raar is bizarre, weird. Rare is more seldom, or then also the way the meat is cooked. So be careful of that one. We go to the next one, and that is the meaning and the meaning. The meaning in Dutch, that would be your opinion. Basically, when somebody asks your meaning, they ask your opinion about something. The meaning in English, however, is more like a definition or asking for an explanation. What is the meaning of this word, for instance? All right, so again, pretty much the same spelling-wise. However, the meaning is completely different. We continue, and then we have het dier and de dier. All right, het dier is basically an animal in general in Dutch. The deer, however, is a typical kind of animal, a hoofed animal, browser, and the males, they do have antlers during reproductive season. So it's completely different. Het dier, animal in general, and then de dier is a typical animal. In Dutch, we would call it het hert. All right, we continue, and then we have de file and the file. Again, written exactly the same way, however, the meaning is completely different. The file, that would be the traffic jam. Ik sta in de file, I'm in the traffic jam. The file, however, is more like referring to a document or a folder containing documents. So again, nothing alike, right? The file and the file. We continue, and we have the map and the map. Now, the map is actually a folder in Dutch, where you basically put your documents. The map in English will basically be a geographical chart. If you go on holiday, you don't have a GPS, you can take a map to find your way. Again, spelling-wise the same, meaning-wise completely different. Right, the next one, the kaart, and the kaart can be translated the same. It can be the bankkaart, that would be your bank card, the kredietkaart, your credit card. The card in English, exactly the same. However, we will also use the word kaart for a map, for the geographical chart, if we want to look to get to a place if we don't have a GPS. The kaart in English is not of that translation. It's more like a bank card or a playing card and so on, or a business card. We continue, and then we have the adjective bang and the noun a bang. Written the same, however completely different. The first difference is bang is an adjective and a bang is basically a noun. Bang means if you're frightened, if you're afraid, and a bang is a loud noise or a blast. So again, completely different. We continue, and then we have the verb bidden and the verb to bid in English. Now, bidden in Dutch is actually to pray, right? If you use the word to bid in English, it's basically you make an offer for something you want to buy or you want to invest in, all right? So bidden is to pray, to bid is to make an offer. We continue with de mug and de mug. Right? De mug, that would be in summer when you're suffering from mosquitoes. De mug is a mosquito. And the mug, that could be a coffee mug. So it's a completely different translation. Again, the mosquito or a coffee mug doesn't really have any similarity translation-wise. We continue, and then we have die and to die. Again, written the same way, however, it means something completely different. Die is a demonstrative pronoun. If you're interested in finding out what a demonstrative pronoun is, click the above link and you'll find a video I made about the demonstrative pronouns in Dutch. To die is to perish, to pass away. So these are huge differences, right? Die is a demonstrative pronoun. To die would be a verb and means to pass away, to perish. We continue, and we have de brand and de brand. Again, written the same way, however, de brand in Dutch would be the fire. Something's on fire. Het huis staat in brand. The house is on fire. And the brand, that would be basically a label or a trade name or a trademark. So the brand is the fire, the brand, that would be a label, trade name or a trademark. Completely different again. We continue the invalide. The invalide and invalid. Now the invalide, we sometimes call somebody with a disability an invalide. So it's a noun. Invalid is an adjective, and it's basically when something is unsound, not correct, or unscientific. Again, the big difference is noun, adjective, and also somebody with a disability or something which is unscientific, unsound, and so on. We continue, and then we have false friend number 1. In my teaching experience, I've seen this one the most. Willen is to want, and will is basically an auxiliary verb to refer to the future in English. For instance, if you want to say, I want to go to the shop, ik wil naar de winkel gaan. However, if you would use the reference auxiliary verb in Dutch for the future, you would say, ik zal naar de winkel gaan. And that's where English comes in. So the reference to the future, the auxiliary verb is will. I will go to the shop is the same like ik zal naar de winkel gaan. But please don't use the verb willen, because then basically you're expressing your desire. We continue, and then we have actueel. Actueel and actually, right? So these ones, more or less the same spelling-wise, however completely different. Actueel is basically a reference to the current affairs. So it's current, it's topical. Actually is something completely different. Actually means as a matter of fact, frankly, and so on. So completely different. False friends, don't translate it literally. We continue with the next one, small and small. Spelling-wise, pretty alike, however meaning-wise, completely different. Smal in Dutch actually means narrow, and smal straatje would be a narrow alley or a narrow street. Small, however, refers to size as little or petite. So again, narrow and petite, different translations for a word which is basically written almost in the same fashion. We continue, and then we have blank and blank, all right? Blank refers to color, mostly color of skin, and blank is basically said of somebody of Caucasian origin, so somebody who's white. And then a blank in English can be empty, it can be vacant, or it can be an empty space or a vacant space. So again, completely different, however, written exactly the same. We continue with eventueel and eventually. Now, eventueel is basically referring to a possibility. So eventueel can be possibly or potentially. However, eventually is referring towards the end result of something, in the end, eventually, in the end, and so on. So again, completely different. Don't translate them literally, please. And then the last one for today is hard and hard. So hard and hard. Both of them are adjectives. They are written exactly the same way. However, you can translate them the same way. You can say if it's solid, if somebody is hard to break, then you can say dat is hard. That is hard in Dutch, if you refer to steel, to wood, and so on. However, hard in English is also used when something is difficult. For instance, the exam was hard. In Dutch, we will never say het examen was hard. That would be an incorrect translation and an incorrect use of the language. We would say het examen is of was moeilijk. So that's another false friend right there, which I see quite a bit when I teach. Alright, so these were the 20 false friends between Dutch and English. I hope you find it useful. I hope you learned a few things. I want to thank you again for watching. Don't forget to give it a like if you like this content, subscribe if you want more content, and let me know in the comments if this was useful for you or if you know any other false friends between Dutch and English. I would greatly appreciate so. I wish you a great rest of the day and stay tuned for another episode of Dutch Round 1. Ciao!